Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Need I Say Myrrh, the Christmas podcast. And today I am delighted to welcome author L.R. Hay. Hello, Lynn. How are you?
Hello there, Adam. It's fantastic to be here.
It's good to welcome you. Why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know who you are, what you do, where you are, and how Christmassy you feel.
Oh, well, I feel very Christmassy right now because I'm all done up. I'm even wearing some Christmas decorations as earrings. I have to say, I've been feeling very Christmassy for most of November, which is not like me. I'm normally sort of Advent kind of thing, but it's just the feeling is bubbling up. So I'm feeling very Christmassy indeed. So yes, I'm Lynn Robertson Hay is the full name. I'm a writer of a number of things. I write books for children, my Young Testament series, which is so far Joseph's Boy and Jairus's Girl. However, drum roll, the third in the series, That Woman's Girl, is as I speak, it's about to be released. So hopefully, when people hear this, it might just be on the cusp of coming out. And these are aimed at sort of, well, roughly 8 to 12-year-olds, but adults as well. And it tells the gospel story from the point of view of the children.
Mhm.
They're them as the main characters. I'm attempting to tell the entire New Testament, which is fun.
Mhm.
I also I write for theatre and for screen and for audio as well.
Mhm.
I've done some scripts for Big Finish, Whisper It. I have written The Doctor,
Oh.
but that's audio. I've not written The Doctor for screen. I know. Ooh. Oh my goodness, that was dream come true territory. It really was.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the podcast description thing, so people will be able to head to your website and find out more about the Young Testament books that we've enjoyed the first two, and we're eagerly awaiting the third. And now to realise that there's going to be a whole series beyond that, it's very exciting. So we've got some questions that we'll go through as you're feeling in a festive mood, and these are questions that I'm asking all of the guests who come on this podcast, starting with, what is your favourite festive food?
Oh, now I'm going to be one of those annoying people who says, "Oh, everything," to every question, probably. However, if I had to choose Christmas pudding,
Okay.
no doubt Christmas pudding
Hmm.
with pouring cream. That's the way I like it best. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Um, I stockpile them because the supermarkets, in their wisdom, they don't follow the whole 12 days of Christmas. I'd be eating Christmas pudding up to January the 5th
Okay.
very happily. And they get rid of it all on Boxing Day. And it's all Easter eggs. So I buy them. I have a little pile on top of the fridge so that and same with mince pies as well, so that I can keep myself festive throughout the whole season. And as far as I'm concerned, you can keep the cranberry sauce, and I'm not convinced about stuffing,
Okay.
but the rest of it, oh my goodness, I just love it. I absolutely love it.
We've got a strong point of disagreement in terms of stuffing, which I think is one of the best parts of Christmas overall. We'll have to talk about that later.
Ah,
I'm not a fan of cranberry sauce, but Christmas pudding is always a good part of Christmas, isn't it? And so you've been stockpiling from the supermarkets, and we won't name specific brands for legal reasons, but have you ever made your own Christmas puddings?
yes, I did used to. When I was young, sort of in my teens, especially, and maybe as a child as well. I can't really remember. I can remember making mince pies with my mother,
Mhm.
but I do remember making Christmas puddings kind of on my own as a teenager, when I was at home. But the the thing about becoming a writer is everything else just stops. You have no more hobbies anymore because writing is both your profession and your hobby, because you've always got like something that you're writing on spec,
Mhm.
um in the hope of trying to sell it, or writing it just because you want to.
Mhm.
All the things I used to do, like knitting and embroidery and all kinds of things, and including investing time in cooking.
Okay, well, maybe as a future book, you need to write a book of Christmas pudding recipes, and then you'd have an excuse to do cooking while also writing.
I like your thinking there. Yes, yes, that could work. I could write books about all kinds
Yeah.
of things that I want to do.
Yeah, I'm just giving you more work when you've already got quite a few books planned, but that's fine. But we go on to the next question. And thinking about music, I'm interested to know what your favorite non-religious Christmas song is.
Right. Well, I love walking through the shops at that time of year, looking out not to get Whamageddoned, obviously. Partly because I don't want to be Whamageddoned, but also I don't like that particular song. Um, but I just love hearing it all. It's just
Mhm.
fantastic. But I tell you something, what gains the most points, just for the sheer joy of it. I was in Cinderella at Taunton Brewhouse a few years ago, and there was this point in the interval. They play like Christmas music, and as we were all gathering, when we'd had our beginners on stage call, and we were all gathering in the wings, waiting for the second half. And at the same point, every performance, Slade, Merry Christmas, Everybody would come
Mhm.
on. And I tell you, the children,
Mm.
every
Mhm.
single time, they'd been singing along to bits and pieces before that, but every audience, when that came on, the whole place just took off with, you know, however many hundred of kids all going, so it is Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. And honestly, if you could bottle that feeling, just pure joy, absolutely amazing. So even though the song itself isn't particularly a favorite of mine, it just reminds me so much of all those children. Just, I mean, how did they know that song? It's not even their parents, you know, it must be something genetic passed down by their grandparents.
Do you only listen to Christmas music in this kind of time of year, or is it on? Would you listen to Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas" in March or April?
Let's put it this way: I don't go out of my way to find it at any other time of year, but if it comes on, I certainly enjoy it.
That's great. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. And what I'm interested to know next is what is your least favorite Christmas decoration?
I've really struggled thinking about this. I'm not sure that I have one because I think even if I don't like it, if it brings joy to somebody else, then that's great. I think it's about the way it makes you
Hmm.
feel. It's about the memories that are attached to it. So even if I hate something, if it helps somebody else feel happy, then that's fantastic. Go for it.
That's a good attitude to have. Yes, it is interesting that people can have such very different ideas of what makes a good Christmas decoration. But as you say, if it brings someone else joy, then
Yeah.
although in the spirit of this podcast, people have been very critical of tinsel, and that's fine by me.
You see, I do like tinsel. I'm not so keen on having it sort of geometrically laid out with a protractor and ruler kind of thing. I just drape it around things with gay abandon, and I think that's my look. I just go a bit chaotic with the tinsel, but no, I like it. The only thing I've seen that I thought, ooh, recently I saw a bauble of Taylor Swift, the head of Taylor Swift, and I did think, ooh.
Okay, we've got at least one podcast guest who I think would be very keen on having a Taylor Swift bauble.
Then let them have it.
There we go. Okay, let's come to the last question and getting to the heart of the good news for us as Christians at Christmas. I want to know who is your favorite person in the nativity account, not including Jesus.
Yes, right. This is hard to narrow down. I do love the sheep, I have to say. I once wrote a nativity for our church where the sheep were the main characters and they had manipulated everything. There being no room at the inn and all of that kind of thing. It was all a lie. It was all the sheep trying to force Mary and Joseph to their stable so that they could see the baby. So I am quite keen on the sheep, and I think they can be great comedy characters. But as a serious answer, oh my goodness, I have to say Joseph,
Mm-hmm.
because we we see Mary
Mm-hmm.
and we see how extraordinary what she did was, and her attitude to the angel, her willingness, let it be to me, as you have said. But I think too often we forget about Joseph, and my goodness, what a hero he was. That his faithfulness, his loyalty, he was righteous and yet compassionate. If you think of his attitude when he first heard the news about Mary, just exemplary. And then what he took her and the baby through, the dangers, the way that he stayed by them, and the fact that he had all those dreams. God was in such direct contact with him. He was clearly a very godly man, very open to hearing the Lord. And I just think what he did was amazing, wonderful.
And have you found that writing about the nativity story of Joseph's boy, has that given you a fresh appreciation of what happened at that first Christmas?
Yes, very much so. Again, it's about making that connection. When you write something, you make a connection with those characters and that story. You have to look at the story from different angles to really go deep into it. So yes, absolutely. But I tell you something else. I'm also at the moment involved in writing a series of screenplays for a contemporary musical version of the Nativity story, which I didn't initiate this when I was brought on board. It's a lady, Sandy Callahan Hooks, has written the music and had all the ideas and the initial scripts and so forth. Brilliant songs. It's a fantastic piece. It's very edgy. It's not a family kind of nativity. It's very real, set in an oppressive regime nowadays kind of thing. And in that, this is Sandy's conception of Joseph. He's a teenager, probably maybe 18, 19, something like that sort of age. And it's a very different take on the character of, we call him Joe in that, a very different take from the character that I had in Joseph's Boy. And yet I found exactly the same thing. Looking at the character with that interpretation, I am just overwhelmed with admiration.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And hopefully some listeners will enjoy picking up a copy of Joseph's Boy and reading it this Christmas and finding a different perspective on the Christmas story through that as well, and to be encouraged again by that good news. Okay, Lynn, thank you for joining us. Maybe to close, you could give us a little reading from Joseph's Boy.
So this is after they've arrived in Bethlehem, and Jamie, Joseph's little boy, is just outside the stable. He caught the briefest flash of light in the clouds some distance away. Was a thunderstorm coming? It might have been Jamie's imagination, but he did feel that slight tingle of hairs standing up on the back of his neck that was a sign lightning was in the air. Jamie waited to see if there would be another flash. For a moment he thought he'd been mistaken, but then it showed again, just a glimmer over the Bethlehem hills. And then darkness once more. Was that it? Disappointing. He should definitely go back in. He didn't want to miss anything. But then, how can I tell you? How will you ever believe me? The sky ripped open as if they had been living in a thick sack all this time without knowing, and someone outside the sack had decided to tear a long gap in it to let real light shine in for the very first time. Strange beings poured through, more and more and more of them, circling and swooping and filling the sky over the hills, as if whatever place was on the other side of the rip was emptying to come and be with the people of Earth. Jamie dropped to his knees, terrified, even though he was at a distance. What was happening? What were these vast, fluid creatures alight with unearthly fire? A fireball of liquid gold shot down onto the hilltops, and a commanding voice drifted faintly across the night air. "Do not be afraid." Angels! Jamie gasped as if he would never breathe again. An army of angels there in front of his eyes, more than he could ever count as they merged into each other and split again in a strange eternal dance while music played, unlike anything Jamie had heard.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!